So hi, I recently found myself in need of a replacement capo, so I went on to, everyone's favourite online retailer, and I found there was loads in multiple price points, but there was a few that were so cheap I just thought, you know what, I'm going to buy a few and test them out. So here we have 4 capos that have arrived. Let's open them up. I've never unboxed anything on camera before, this is exciting. So I've opened the parcels that arrived from Amazon. They do look like at least the ones I ordered. So I'm going to go away and I'm going to play the guitar for an hour or two, and I'll come back and I'll tell you what I think. So here we are, 4 capos from Amazon for less than £5 each. In fact, all 4 of them cost me £17.56 altogether. So I've spent this afternoon having a bit of a play with them all. I'm going to give you a quick run through what I think the strengths and the pitfalls of each of them are. There's 2 that work by essentially the same mechanism, and 2 that are quite different. I'm going to put links to them all down in the description. They will be affiliate links, so if you do decide to go and buy one after watching this, I will get a few pence to put towards making videos like this one. So first up we have the Bill Russell Original Elastic Capo. This is made by Jim Dunlop. This one was £4.49. It has kind of a pretty cool sort of 60s, 70s vintage vibe to it, which I do like. It's basically like a rubber cylinder with a pin through it, and a piece of elastic, which wraps around the back of your guitar neck and hooks on to put it on. I don't know who Bill Russell is or was. I did Google the name, but all I found was the Wikipedia article for a famous basketball coach, which did not mention guitars at all. Perhaps someone who does know could tell me in the comments. So out of the box this was quite tricky to attach. I imagine over time this piece of elastic is going to loosen up a bit. So the plus points of this, it is decently made, it feels good quality. You can move it from fret to fret without taking it off. You just have to sort of pull it away from the strings and slide it down. And if you do want to keep it on the guitar when you're not using it, all you've got to do is slide it just above the nut. I also quite like the fact the packet had a little chart that told you what fret you needed to put the capo at to be able to play G and C shapes in different keys. I thought that was quite a nice touch. It's potentially quite useful if you're new to using a capo, or you're just rubbish at transposing in a hurry like me. The downside, well, it is fiddly to get on. It takes both hands and a fair amount of strength to get it on. I also found I was having to adjust it multiple times to get rid of buzzers on the top 2 strings, and it was kind of muting the G string. So for that reason I'm not really sure you'd want to take it on a gig where you can't really start a song twice to make sure the capo's in the right place. So next up we have the Stagg curved capo. Now according to the description, the Stagg straight capo is suitable for classical guitars, and this curved version is for steel stringed electrics and acoustics. Again, this is quite a retro 70s design. It's very close in design to the classic Jim Dunlop toggle capo. This was the cheapest of them all. It was only £3.29. My first thought when it came out of the box was it was very small. I thought it was going to be too small for my fretboard, and I accidentally managed to buy the banjo or the ukulele version of it. So although it is a fair bit smaller than any of the other capos I've bought. I have tried it on several of my guitars today, and as long as you position it carefully, it is wide enough to fit over the strings. The way this one works is you've got a metal plate with a rubber strip on it, which presses against your strings, and then this strip of fabric comes around the back, and this lever holds it in place. You can make on-the-fly adjustments by using a different one of the teeth. It's also got a buckle in it that lets you change the length of this little strap. So, plus points. Well, it is very cheap. It's light and it's small enough to easily fit in something like this tin where I keep all of my picks and slides and things. It has taken me a lot of fiddling with today, but actually when you do get in the right place, I think it works really well. It affects the sounds less than some of the other capos I've been playing with. The downside, it has taken more fiddling than any of the others to get to work. If you get it in slightly in the wrong place, it can pull the high E or the low E off the fretboard, so you just get a dead sound. I was finding the way the strap came threaded through the buckle out of the box, it was slipping through when it was under tension, so I've rethreaded it to double back on itself, which has stopped that issue but has made it now much harder to adjust. Moving it from fret to fret is just as fiddly as putting it on in the first place. I will say both this one and the Bill Russell needed more tension to work than you might be used to if you've been using something like a G7 or a Shub. So it can feel quite drastic putting them onto your guitar, like you might leave a dent or something. One of the problems that I had was that I was not wanting to tighten them up enough to get a good clear sound for them, and they do have to be quite tight. So next up we have the H&S. This is a clamp or a trigger type capo. It works just by squeezing the handle, so that, and then you just pop it one wherever you need it. It did come in this little box with some guitar picks and a packet of silica gel. Do not eat. Top tip. I do really like this one. It even comes with a little, if you can see that, bridge pin puller when you need to restring and you need a lever to get those out. It's got a really nice brushed aluminium finish. This one was $4.99. But yeah, I really like this one. It's easy to put on, it's easy to move around, and when you aren't using it you can just clamp it on the headstock of your guitar like so. It feels nice in your hand, although it does take a bit of strength to open it. It doesn't feel like it's a ridiculous amount. It's not uncomfortable. The downsides, well, there's no adjustments. You get as much tension as that spring gives you, whatever size of guitar neck you're on. It is bigger and heavier than some of the others, although I wouldn't say ridiculously so, but it won't fit in my little tin. These clamp style capos, they do have a reputation for pulling guitars out of tune. I can't say it's something I've noticed. You just have to remember to make sure you're not dragging it down the strings when you put it on. But perhaps other guitarists just have better ears than I do. That is entirely possible. So finally we have the Tiger Trigger Capo. This one was also $4.99. It also works on much the same principle as the H&S. Generally the finish on this one is less nice feeling than the H&S. The spring is a bit stiffer, the metal parts are a bit pitted, they're not as well polished. None of that is going to affect how well it does its job, but it just generally feels a bit less carefully built. Now, when I was ordering this one, Amazon told me that I had last purchased it in May 2012. So I had a rummage around, and sure enough, here's one in black. That spent about two years in regular use, and then maybe 8 years at the back of the drawer. The listing did say it was a new design in 2016. So this is a little different shape-wise. The handles are short, which makes the issue of the stiff spring even worse on this one, and it's really quite hard for me to open it up. I don't know if you can hear that if I hold it over by the microphone, but it makes a horrible creak when I try and use it. From what I can remember, I stopped using this one because I wouldn't seat properly on the guitar I was using at the time. I was getting too many buzzers, so I ended up swapping to something else and keeping this one as a spare. So I guess it is at least good to know that your $4.99 capo can potentially at least last for years. For me, the biggest surprise here was that they all do a perfectly adequate job as a capo. I've been stung in the past buying Far Eastern made guitar accessories online for cheap that weren't quite up to the job they were supposed to do. So it is nice that all of these seem like they will work. To be fair to these two, I think they're going to get less faffy the more you use them, the more used to them that you are. They're just going to be how a capo goes on. There was a lot of fiddling for me today just to get them in the right place, to get them tight enough, but I think if you're using them day in and day out, they're going to get easier. If I was going to recommend one, I think I'd suggest the H&S. It does just feel nicer than the others to use, and it's pretty idiot proof, which is probably what you want if you're the kind of person who's looking to spend less than a $5 on a capo. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope this has been useful. I appreciate I have probably said too much, because that's what I do when I talk to camera. Yeah, and if you do own one of these capos, or you buy one of these capos as a result of seeing this, let us know in the comments how you get on.